Hi, my name is Gord Miller. I'm the Environmental Commissioner of Ontario, and I'm here today to talk about electricity pricing as part of the video series I'm releasing related to the release of my 2010 annual energy conservation report called Managing a Complex Energy System. Certainly electricity pricing is one of the most controversial aspects of electricity and electricity conservation in Ontario these many months, and continues to be, but it is a complex subject, and I thought I'd do in this, what I do in this video is just try to explain some of the general parts of how electricity is priced in Ontario to give you a little insight so you understand the issue better. And to do that, let me try to explain this graph. On this graph we have the price of electricity in cents per kilowatt hour, and across the bottom goes from January 05 to July 2010. And this is about the price of electricity. Now, in Ontario, we have a market that trades like the stock market. And in that market, it sets a price for electricity every hour throughout the entire year. Now, so that's the blue line, by the way. And the blue line on this graph is the hourly price of the market. You can see it takes a precipitous drop here for reasons to be seen later in 2009, but it fluctuates. It's always, except for one point, it's always under 10 cents. But of course that's not the whole story. That's the market price, and it allows us to allocate what kind of power to bring into the market and how, and in the case sometimes we have to buy electricity from the United States, etc. So, but you always can't produce electricity for the price that's on the market if you're running a nuclear plant or hydroelectric plant, or some of them still have coal-fired plants, or a gas-fired plant. The cost of production may very well be higher than the market price, and in fact often is. So these plants are given guarantees. They have to run at a profit, so they're given a guaranteed price. Every one of them has a guaranteed price, and when they have to sell into the market at a lower price, money has to be available to top that up. And so there has to be a pool of money available to top up to meet the guaranteed price. There also has to be a little bit of money available in the pool so they can run conservation programs for the long-term improvement of the efficiency of the system. And of course there has to be some money in there to meet the needs of the renewable energy contracts that we signed over the past years for wind and solar, etc. So those three pots of money have to be brought together and charged in the rate, and we call them the global adjustment. That's what it's called, and that's the red line here. Now, if you look, the global adjustment, there was an anomaly back in 05, days long gone, when the global adjustment was actually negative. We were actually making money, if you like, but not anymore. The typical tendency is for the global adjustment to cost some amount, and in recent months, it's been up here. And so that's added on. It's still expressed in cents per kilowatt hour. So to get the actual price of electricity, you take the blue line, which is the market price, add on top of it the red line, which is the global adjustment, add them together, you get the yellow line, which is the combined price, which is the market price. And if you look, here's 6 cents per kilowatt hour, here's 8. You can see that from 2005 up to July 2010, it moves in a fairly narrow range. It's 6 to 8 cents per kilowatt hour. So that's how we get the price of electricity per hour. Now, it is fluctuating on an hour, and it's actually more variable than that. If you look at within a day, it can fluctuate tremendously. We have peak periods of the day in which we consume large amounts of electricity, and we get very high demand, and the price goes up for very short times. I know the figures for 2009, for instance. In 2009, the average price, without the global adjustment, just the market price, was 3.3 cents for every hour averaged over the year. But the peak hour, the most expensive hour in 2009, was $1.89 per kilowatt hour. It's that peak that causes us all the problems. It's hugely expensive. And that's why we've, in the province, have installed smart meters, and we're gradually introducing what they call time of use pricing. And where electricity, during periods of higher demand, is more expensive than in periods, for instance, at night, of lower demand, when electricity is cheaper. The idea is to encourage people to shift their usage from the period of time when it's high demand onto off-peak periods. That not only saves the consumer money It takes a tremendous load off the whole electrical system and saves the whole system in the long run. A lot of required capital to invest and upgrade the system, and it just makes the system more reliable. So those are the kind of concepts that are important in understanding electricity prices. One is that we have the market price plus the global adjustment, and the second is that things like time of use are meant to deal with this tremendous effect of peaking, which can be many times more pricey during the day than it is, say, at night when demand is low and the nuclear plants are running at a high efficiency. There's your first introduction to electricity pricing. It gets more complicated, but that's a good start. You can find more detail in my report on my website at www.eco.on.ca.